Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Crista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, we're going to be diving in to how do you balance an entrepreneur's love to create new and different things with a business's need for consistency, focus, and optimization. It's a constant struggle and something that we've been talking about a little bit in the series on where businesses are leaving a lot of time and money on the table, with this being one of those core areas where entrepreneurs can very frequently create an environment where they're not finishing work, where they're working too hard on too many different things, and where they aren't really setting their team up for success, which in turn is wasted time and wasted money, as well as wasted opportunity for more profit in the business. So that's what we're going to dive into today. And I've been a little under the weather these past couple weeks. I'm sure you can probably hear the scratchiness in my voice. So sorry about that. Hopefully we'll be all back to good soon, but I wanted to make sure that I got this episode out for you because I've been getting asked this question a lot lately, especially as people have been downloading and reading the free waste guide that I created, which if you've not grabbed that yet, head over to leanoutmethod.com/waste, which does have those top 10 areas of waste in the business that translates into businesses leaving unnecessary time and money on the table. But also, as I've been doing a series over in my Simplify and Scale Facebook community on these topics as well. And the questions that I constantly get is, I get that it's easier to, do less to make more. I get that I should be optimizing what I'm doing, but then I get bored in my business. And so if you've ever been here at that place of feeling like you are getting a little bit bored because you're in a place of doing the optimization or the running or the maintaining and delivering instead of being in a space of creating, then this episode is very much for you. And if you are not in that place of boredom yet, trust me, it's coming. It always comes. I have a new client who I'm getting ready to start working with. We're planning and mapping out her VIP day. And one of the things that we do before that VIP day is we meet for a strategy session to get really clear on the objectives, what success would look like for that session so that we know the agenda. Her and her team can prepare what they want to in advance, and I can prepare for the day. And one of the things that she shared with me was right in line with what I've been hearing. And that is she's at the point in her business where things are working so well, they're selling the same services and the same offers over and over again, that she's finding herself feeling a bit bored and a bit unfulfilled. She loves what she does, super passionate about what she does, loves her customers, but she's not really getting to be innovative or creative. And as a result, it kind of takes some of the fun out of the business for her. So she's been dreaming up new ideas and wondering if maybe she shouldn't start a different business, or if she were to integrate her new idea into the business, how could she do it in a way that doesn't impact her team's capacity? So again, this is something that you've probably experienced, maybe currently experiencing, or will absolutely experience in the future. So let's dive into what you actually do and why it is so important to not always be putting new and different things out, and to make sure that you have that space for optimization and effectively continuing to maintain and deliver the things that you sell and the things that you do in your business. So first things first, new and different is the hardest and most complex way to scale your business. It may be fun to go into a place of creative energy and to want to create something new, but the problem with that is anytime you create something new, there's a lot more than that initial burst of ideation and innovation that goes into it, right? If you take an offer, for example, and you come up with this brilliant idea for a new offering in your business, that's excellent. But you need to do all of the things that make it possible to actually sell that offer. Everything from creating the structure of the program, right? The packaging, the pricing, the positioning of it, what that looks like, if there's going to be content with it, actually creating the content, if there's going to be calls, setting up the link so people can actually register and join you on the call. No matter how you do that offer, whether it's something that's very infrastructure intensive and tool intensive, where you're creating content and doing calls and things of that nature, or if you're keeping it super simple and you're doing things that are more live coaching, or you're doing some sort of live training, so it's lower tech, there's still a bunch of work that goes into getting the right infrastructure in place, making sure that people have the right information that they need. There's emails that need to be written. There's sales pages, or if nothing else, at least a checkout page that people need to be able to go to. So there's all of this work that needs to be done up front just to be able to even sell that offer. But then what a lot of people don't think about is once you've sold the offer, you have to actually deliver it. And if you had a 12-month program that you sold, that's 12 months that you need to show up in whatever capacity you committed to people when they joined. So if it's weekly Q&A calls or monthly Q&A calls, whatever that looks like, you have to show up for that and deliver that. You probably have to have some kind of email nurture sequence that's going out to clients to make sure that they know when the calls are, so they know how to access or do whatever else they get with that offer. So there's stuff that you need to do upfront. There's stuff that you need to do during the, onboarding experience. And then there's stuff that you need to do during the delivery experience. And if you're really smart about it, you're always thinking about customer retention. And there's things you're doing throughout delivery and towards the end of a client's engagement to make sure that they move on to whatever the appropriate upsell or cross-sell offer is, right? And so every time you do something new in your business, even if you keep it pretty simple, you still have all of that involved in it, right? And so think about how much time that takes. Think about how much money that takes, either for tools and infrastructure or for the time that you're paying for your team. Think about the mental energy and mental capacity that that's taking, not just of you, but from your team as well. And again, it's not just the fun, created upfront energy and time and money. It's what it takes to deliver that for whatever the duration is of the thing that you're doing, right? And so you want to have new offers in your business periodically. You want to be able to leverage your creativity and your innovation in your business, but you need to be careful about how you do it, because you can very easily end up overworking your team, overworking yourself, and creating something that's really complex and very difficult to sustain, right? Opposite of simple, sustainable scaling, which is what we talk about all the time. So if, you can agree on the premise that new and different definitely is and can be time intensive, resource intensive, even if it's the right thing to do, those things are true, then what do you do to feed your creative and innovative soul, right? This is what we do. We get excited by new ideas. We want to pursue new ideas. The things that make us typically love our business, and sometimes the things that make us grow and advance as leaders, is that ability to innovate and to create and to do new and different things. So how do you balance it by not creating a ton of extra work for your team, by looking at the things that you currently have and really optimizing them so you're getting the most possible value out of them and your clients are getting the best experience, but you still get to do things that don't feel boring and feel good for you? So what I recommend, here's what I do. I know myself well enough to know I love to create content. I am a content producer, right? You can, catch me at any point in time, and I have more ideas for content than I could probably execute in a lifetime. I just always have different ideas. I am constantly learning myself. I just got back from another event and mastermind retreat experience. I'm heading off to another one next month. I travel a lot. I network a lot. I'm always around amazing information, and I want to share it with my clients and with members of the Lean Out community. And so if I'm constantly putting out new things all the time, that's not really going to help the business. But at the same time, I want to be sharing all of these great ideas. So how do I do it? Inside our Simplify to Scale program, one of the things that I have is a monthly live workshop. This works beautifully for me because I get to share whatever is top of mind for me or whatever it is that the current members in the cohort are asking a lot of questions about and need the most support about. I get to go out and create something new. I get to create something innovative. And it feels really good to me. It keeps me excited about the program. It keeps me excited about wanting to be able to work with people and help people inside the program. But it also keeps me having one program instead of taking every one of those ideas I have and turning them into multiple programs. So I think with some strategy and with some intention, you can structure the offers that you have in your business in such a way that it feeds into your creativity and your innovative spirit, right? And so I structure my core signature offer in my business, my Simplify to Scale Business Accelerator, in a way that lets me do that. We periodically will do live retreats. I love retreats. I love events. I have my Reimagine retreat coming up in person in October, which I'm so excited about. But up until just recently, we've been doing a lot virtually just because we kind of had to. And so being able to plan for a half day or a full day retreat, that makes me happy. That feeds my creativity. Again, it lets me look at what do people need to get the best possible result right now, blended with what do I feel most inspired to actually want to share or develop as another piece of the program. And sometimes those live retreats, those live workshops, they end up becoming the next evolution of the offer suite that you end up having in your business. There's some pieces that I've done inside Simplify to Scale that have actually lent themselves to my done for you lean business scaling system implementation, right? And so it lets you do things by structuring your program that way. So that's one piece of it. The other is this podcast, right? I get to share the things that are top of mind for me that I think are important and that you would be interested in. Sometimes I create the topics based on things that you guys send me as feedback. I always love the emails. I love hearing how you get value out of the podcast. You love the podcast ideas for the podcast. Feedback for the podcast, whatever you got, send it my way, info@leanoutmethod.com. I actually really genuinely love reading that. But if you have sent me in suggestions in the past, I've probably talked about it on this podcast. As long as people recommend something that actually aligns with topics that I'm passionate about, knowledgeable about, and feel like something that, really fits with the type of content that I share here, then I'm always happy to do an episode on it. So doing the podcast helps. I'm in the middle of writing a book, and I know it is one of many. I actually am trying to figure out which book it is I'm writing first. So I'm just kind of writing, and I will narrow it down later as I move kind of further into the process. I'm more in kind of brainstorm mode right now, right? And so I'm looking at those sorts of things that I really like to do. Podcast interviews. In addition to this podcast, I'm on about 50 to 100 podcasts per year. I love doing podcast interviews because I get to talk about things. But the thing I really love about the interviews is every host asks questions in different ways. And so sometimes I end up talking about the same things, but I end up talking about them and presenting them in ways that are completely different from ways that I've done it before. And that feels really creative. It feels really good. And sometimes it helps with messaging as well. And so these are ways where I look at how can I stay really true to the concept of a lean brand? How can I not have 85 different offers and constantly be putting out new things and killing myself and my team in the process, but knowing that I am a natural innovator, right? I'm a natural visionary. I have ideas. If I could just sit behind my computer or sit on a whiteboard and just map out all of my ideas and implement them all day long, I would be super happy. Not a great business model, right? And it would be so confusing for my customers that they would be like, what do you do? And I probably wouldn't have any clients, right? So I found the balance for me of what ends up working. Now, the other piece of this that's really important is you do need that focus and that consistency in your business. And if you, as the CEO, as the visionary leader, as the innovator in the business, maybe that's not what lights you up. Maybe that's not your favorite part. You want space to be creative. You want space to do whatever it is that you're really passionate about. then you need to make sure you have that right-hand person in your business that's keeping things moving and that's continuously optimizing what you're doing so you get the best possible results from it. And so in some cases, it's called an integrator. Sometimes it's a director of ops. Sometimes it's an OBM. Sometimes it's a project manager. There's any number of different names for that role. Whatever you call it kind of doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you want the person whose accountability is to make sure that your ideas actually get implemented and get done. You want that person to be your kind of counterbalance who's like, yeah, that's a great idea and all, but here's what we currently have on our plate, and we can't possibly do that without negatively impacting this. So you want that person who's kind of tempering you at the same time. And really just that person who has that overall commitment to making whatever it is that you do in the business as efficient as possible, as successful as possible. Your clients are getting the best results and having the best experience as possible. So you do want somebody in your business. Over time, you'll probably have a whole team of those somebodies in your business. But earlier on, you just want that right-hand person who can take that stuff on so that you can go ahead and actually do what really, lights you up and fuels you in the business. Now, if you don't yet have that person in your business, they are very likely going to be your next strategic hire. As you're looking at and determining what comes next for your business as you're looking to scale and up level, that person is really going to be critical. So they will probably be next on your list to hire, or a very fast follow if you instead need somebody who's doing something more like social media or a VA or technical VA or something along those lines. And the one last piece that I want to share here, you might not want to hear this, but it's very true, is if today you are the person who's doing both, you're not only responsible for creation and visioning and innovation, but you also are the only person right now who's making sure that those things that you do get fully implemented, get delivered, that your clients have that great experience, that you're able to fulfill on whatever offers it is that you've sold in your business, then you are going to have to stay fiercely committed to making sure that you have that consistency and that focus, and that you're delivering what you sold, that you're optimizing it, and really going all in on it, even if you'd rather be off doing new and different things and focusing on creating. You just simply have to do it. That's part of running a really successful business. However, as quickly as you can, you want to bring on the team to support you so that you could align more with both your zone of genius as well as your passion and the things that are personally fulfilling to you. So I hope the example of what I do in my business ended up being helpful for thinking about what you can do in your business. When I have these conversations with my clients, they frequently end up doing something pretty similar. If you do something different, I'd absolutely love to hear about what it is. You do need to be really, really intentional about any time you do something new and different in your business. And I know we talked about offers because that's the number one place that I see people putting new and different things out. But there's certainly a lot of ways that this shows up in the business beyond simply your offers. It's just an easy one to look at because it's so common. So anytime you go to do something new and different in your business, no matter what it is, just take a pause and ask yourself, is this really the right thing to do? Is this worth the time, the energy, the expense that it's going to take to not only create it, but to maintain it and optimize it over time? And if the answer is yes, great, go all in on it and make sure that you're considering what that looks like to integrate it into how you run your business in the future. And if it's just simply you trying to feed that need to create and, your innovation, then you might want to put it in a backlog. I've talked about this before on the podcast. I recommend every single business has an innovation backlog where when you have those brilliant ideas, you can take them and put them in your backlog. And on a regular cadence, you should review them to say, which of these do I want to actually pursue? I actually recommend everybody start with one innovation hour per week. Over time, that can change. I actually have an entire innovation day per week. That's my Friday every week. I'm not going to go too too deep into that because I've talked about that in prior episodes. But you do want to capture those innovations, capture those ideas, but also balance that with staying really laser focused on what you're doing and optimizing what you're doing so you get the absolute best possible results. And that is how you actually scale your business faster. That is how you scale your business, by doing less to achieve more. I hope you got a lot of value out of this episode. And if you do want to hear any more about our upcoming retreat, which I would love to have you join me at, you could head over to leanoutmethod.com/reimagine for all of the details. It's going to be in October in Scottsdale, Arizona. There's only 6 to 12 spaces available. I'm keeping it really small circle, really intimate. And we are going to dig deep. We're going to reimagine what that next level of business evolution looks like for you. And it's a combined retreat plus mastermind experience. It's something really special, and I'm really quite excited for this retreat. Plus, it's the first in-person retreat that we've been able to do for a while. So I just cannot wait and would love to see your application come through if that aligns with something that you are looking for. Have an incredible week. I will see you again next week. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. I hope you got a lot of value and actionable insights from today's show, and would love if you take a moment to leave us a review. If you have any questions on today's episode or on how to lean out your business, join us over in our private Facebook community, where every week we do live training and Q&A, and I'd love to have you be part of the conversation. Head to leanoutmethod.com/group to join us. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the show so you're the first to know when we release a new episode. We'll see you next week.